What is up, everyone? Welcome to the How to Buy and Sell websites on Flippa. I am the host, Steve McGarry. I have an extensive background on Flippa. I've spent a little over 3 years buying and selling different websites on there. I manage a portfolio of about a dozen websites. The course is going to be broken down into 5 different sections. This is the very first section where we go through the basics of what it means from a buyer's perspective as well as a seller's perspective when we are on the Flippa marketplace. First and foremost, I'm going to be referring to all of these different types of businesses as assets, primarily because they're so different in many different ways. Whether I'm talking about an e-commerce store or a mobile application or a SaaS business, Amazon FBA stores, those include domains, include products and services, marketplaces, also advertising, which is your basic traffic to AdSense websites. When you have this wide variety of different websites available for purchase directly from the sellers on a marketplace like Flippa, there's a lot of different components that go into that. The featured and editor's choice assets on the Flippa marketplace are by far the most engaged ones on the platform. When you go to the website flippa.com, you will immediately see all of the featured and the editor's choice, and these are the ones that you want to kind of browse around on first. When you go to the auction, you are able to make an offer, you are able to watch that listing if you're interested in it and you want to see the auction progress as investors are starting to put their bids into the auction. And then there is also the ability to watch a seller. So the person that actually posted that asset for sale on the marketplace, you can watch their future listings, which I find very powerful because the majority of the time, sellers are selling similar products and services in the future. So following them, AKA watching a seller, is a very powerful way to see future assets coming up for sale. The next feature from a buyer's perspective is the comment section. This is where people are going to be publicly commenting questions about the asset that is for sale, and the seller can come out and publicly respond to these questions. This is a really powerful way of showing transparency and a really powerful way of showing that there are other buyers interested in the seller's product or service that they're selling. The best strategy that I have seen from very experienced investors and buyers on the platform is to just ask them to PM you. Whether you're asking a question, if it's the second comment that you're responding to from the seller, you're gonna wanna try and bring it into a private setting. This is usually a mistake a lot of the beginners make, is where they start discussing all the financials in the wide open, which are available on the financial section. And it is very much pinging everyone that is following that listing, and it can very much get congested. And unfortunately, it can hurt the seller's listing. When it's notifying all of the people that are watching that listing, eventually people will get tired and they will unwatch that listing. I have seen that as a tactic to get other people away from bidding, but that is a tactic that I do not recommend. I recommend that people are PMing and private messaging with the sellers directly. The next feature is user's reputation, and this is a fundamental component in pretty much all businesses nowadays that are using a marketplace, where buyers and sellers are rating each other based on their experience with each other. Similar to Amazon products, where it's based heavily on customer reviews, that is the same way that the Flippa marketplace operates. When you have a buyer and seller that are reviewing each other after a successful transaction based on a certain amount, you can even see the amounts that the users have transacted in. So this is a very important part when you are looking at other buyers and other sellers. When you are discussing things, you can see that the person has done successful transactions and they have a good review. The next feature is the bin. This one actually took me a couple of days, embarrassingly enough, but I am here to suffer that embarrassment for you guys. And bin stands for Buy It Now Price. Buy It Now Price means that you can literally click a button that says that you want to purchase that auctioned item or asset at that very moment for that amount of money. There's no auction needed, there's no bid needed, there's no offer. You just literally need to click a button that says Buy It Now. Normally sellers will do this when the auction is starting to heat up, and they will set a very high bin to attract bidders to being able to just end all of the suffering of waiting, of going through the auction. Some buyers really love these different projects and assets and want to get involved, so they will buy it now. Last feature I want to discuss here from the buyer's perspective is the reserve price. The reserve price will be listed on the top right-hand corner of the listing. That is the minimum amount that the seller will accept for that asset. Now moving on to the seller's perspective. If you guys are watching this video from a seller's perspective, bravo, you're about to sell a business. Very excited for you, and let's go through some of the features that you're gonna wanna keep in mind from the seller's perspective. The first piece is data. Verifying all of your data using Google Analytics, using AdSense, making sure that Flippa has all of the data that it needs to properly populate your listing. The backbone of every business is its P&L, and especially when you are selling a business, you need to make sure that you have at least 12 months of a P&L that is able to be shown on your listing. When you have a very sophisticated investor or buyer coming to your listed project or your asset, whatever it may be that you're listing on Flippa, you need to make sure that you have your financials front and center so people can see how much profit is being generated and what the costs are every month. In addition to all of this, there's actually a really easy tool on Flippa called the Business Valuation Calculator. It's only 6 steps that you need to go through, and you can quickly click through, fill out the form, and it will give you a rough estimate as to what you can expect for your business. Now, taking this one step further, there is something that you can offer immediately as the seller on the marketplace when you are messaging directly with a buyer. And that is you can add them to Google Analytics using their Gmail account so they can have full access to verify all the information from the Flippa listing. They can see in real time how many people are on the website. They can see organic traffic. They can see direct. They can see referrals. They can see all the different types of traffic that are going to the website. With that being said, for security purposes, you're just going to want to add them for viewing purposes on Google Analytics. Don't add them to a dashboard or a back end of any kind. Just give them the visibility that they need to verify where these sources of traffic are coming from. Next is one of the most asked questions on Flippa about the listing fee for a seller to sell their business via the Flippa marketplace, and that is a $15 monthly fee with a success fee added on top of that when the transaction happens. So this is when the numbers get fun with the success fee. 5% for a company that is sold for $1 million to $5 million as a success fee, 7.5% when a business is sold for $500,000 to $1 million via the marketplace, and a 10% success fee if a business is sold anywhere from $1 to $499,000. The final component to a success fee is there is a 15% success fee added on when you want to use an external broker to very much quarterback the entire transaction. 15% success fee is when you actually bring on a partner broker and Flippa helps match you with that broker that can really go through the entire process with you. So that is why that fee is much higher. So the success fee is lower if you are selling your business for a higher price. From a seller's perspective, there are 120,000 buyers looking for established businesses via the Flippa marketplace. There are 97,000 buyers looking to buy starter sites. There are 65,000 buyers via Flippa that are interested in buying apps. And there are 99,000 buyers that are interested in buying domains via the Flippa marketplace. So needless to say, as a seller, if you're watching this right now, or even as a buyer, you can know that there are plenty of buyers out there looking for various assets to acquire. The final point is that Flippa Escrow is the fund that the money is going into from the buyer to the seller. It is held until the transaction is safely completed, and Flippa gives the thumbs up to say everyone has what they needed, everyone is happy, and the transaction is confirmed. This is done via escrow, and it is a very safe and easy process to go through for both parties. I've done this multiple times. That is it for this first section of buying and selling websites via the Flippa marketplace for beginners, both from a buyer and a seller's perspective. So I will see you guys on the next section where I talk about buyer's due diligence 101 for beginners, where we go through everything you want to look at from a listing on the Flippa marketplace.